Man, can we stop painting these narratives that everything got to be always racist and got to be between black and white? It's unbelievable how the internet has made a narrative out of nothing. And Jason Whitlock continues to put gas on the fire. But we're going to talk about all that here next, here on the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Guys, when are we going to start listening and being mindful of people? When are we going to stop creating narratives and making something out of nothing? Once again, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, people make something out of nothing. Now, we all know the Atlanta Dream played the Indiana Fever. And they had two competitive games, came down to the wire. Brittney Griner of the Atlanta Dream fouled out in a close game, and she was visibly upset when she fouled out. It was a play that was called when Natasha Howard drove to the bucket, and Brittney Griner thought that she put her hand straight up, and she was deemed for her sixth foul, and she was eliminated from the contest. And she went to the bench, and the camera caught her saying some things. Now, here's the problem I have. The play had nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. The play was between Caitlin Clark and somebody else, but then the play that we're referencing was between Natasha Howard and Brittney Griner. Natasha Howard drew Brittney Griner's sixth foul. Brittney Griner was upset, thought it was a bad call. The camera caught her on the bench saying some things, and everybody took that as she was saying something about Caitlin Clark, talking about effing white girl. Now that don't make no sense. That had nothing to do with basketball, and Brittney Griner did not utter them words. Now, the other problem I have is people are out here on the internet making that big news. And what it has done, it has caught fire on social media, and everybody is talking about it. We saw Jamil Hill go back and forth with somebody on Twitter, and Jamil Hill shut that person down. Everybody trying to create a narrative, and it had nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. But somehow Caitlin Clark got thrown up in the mix. And this is what they do. They do anything to protect Caitlin Clark and make the other person look like a villain. So what happened? Today on Fearless Podcast with Jason Whitlock, him and Kim was talking about Brittney Griner. And I want you guys to listen how Jason Whitlock keeps on gaslighting and making something out of nothing. This should never be a topic that should have been talked about. So now I have to talk about it because people are creating these false narratives and try to slander Brittney Griner's name. So let's take a listen to what Jason Whitlock and Steve Kim had to say on the Fearless Podcast. Take a listen.
No one wants to see that.
What?
And look, no one wants to see that, and I'm a be hypocritical or double standard. If that were a man in a men's league, I think people would be more tolerant of it. But to see women behaving that way, behaving as men, being as profane, being trying to be as intimidating, and again, this is why they don't want fans like me paying attention. That kind of stuff could go on in the old days, and it would be a tree falling in the woods. No one would complain because no one saw it.
So you're not a fan of her being authentically Brittney? Okay, I get it.
Crazy.
I look. At least I will say this as someone who's not an avid fan, to say the least, of the W. At least they give a damn. Honestly, I will admit this. There's a certain passion and emotion that exists. And what are we, 3 games in? Do you think any NBA player even cares about any of these games before, let's say, March? Be honest, Jason. Do any of these NBA players currently have any type of anger or emotion towards anything related to the games in this current culture and landscape of the NBA?
You're accurate. I'm going to give the men a defense. They play 82 games. The women play, I think, 44 now. And so each game has more value. If they shrunk the NBA season, you'd have more people caring. Steve, I'm going to play you one more Brittney Griner clip. This is her from the game against the Indiana Fever. The Atlanta Dream played Fever back-to-back. And then there was this controversy about a foul that was called on Brittney Griner and whether or not she said, white girl trash or, effing white girls. The call was effing trash. Did you catch any of this? And
yeah.
I've seen people say, look, she's saying whack call, not white girls. Anyway, your thoughts.
I can't believe this. I'm going to be like Johnny Kimkren. I'm almost acting as the defense attorney for Miss Griner. Regardless of what she said, Jason, don't athletes in the heat of battle say a lot of things? A lot of things they may not mean, a lot of things that may be out of bounds, many things that aren't politically correct. I would say, look, she got heated. She has to understand the cameras are on her. I think a little bit too much is being made of this, but with the admittance, if that was a white player who said the opposite things about a black player, the usual suspects would have their 10,000 word think pieces and smear campaigns ready to go. That I will admit.
Steve, I'm right there with you. It doesn't matter to me what Brittney Griner said there in the heat of the moment. You're absolutely right. If Caitlin Clark's on camera mouthing the words "black girl," it doesn't matter in what context she'd get strung up.
Said white girl.
I think as it goes either direction, this is a big nothing burger. It happens to everybody in the heat of competition. This is locker room talk, and so it's not. I would move away from this. Not a big deal.
Now you heard what they had to say. Now my issue I have with it is why would you even talk about it, Jason Whitlock? So as podcasters like myself that need to come out and put y'all on blast for even covering something like this, trying to make something out of nothing. So in retaliation, what y'all try to do is y'all always try to make the person involved a villain. And it had nothing to do with Caitlin Clark, but somehow Caitlin Clark got her name thrown up in it. This was a foul call from a black person on another black person, and Brittney Griner went to the bench. The cameras was on her, and she uttered the words "trash call." She said, "This is trash call." So let me play a clip. And then in this clip, you'll see what people do. They put the words up there narrating it, where it's like she said, "effing white girl." Let's take a look. She said, "That's trash. Whack call." Play it again. Foul on Brittney Griner, fouled out against Natasha Harrod. It had nothing to do with effing white girl. But see, they tried to spin it as though she said effing white girl. And that's the problem that I have, is because now they're trying to create a narrative and slander Brittney Griner for something that she didn't even say. And it's all over social media, and it's made headways. It's national news now. And then Jason Whitlock turned and said, now, if this was Caitlin Clark saying this, and Steve Kim said it'd be a smear campaign, that she'd be wrong. Everybody come out to get her. But it had nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. This was when Brittney Griner fouled out against Natasha Howard. It's unbelievable. Stop always creating these narratives to protect Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark had nothing to do with the play. And somehow she got her name thrown up in it. Y'all guys got to do better. This was nothing. Y'all made something out of nothing. So now we got to put y'all on blast. I see everybody in the comments section, #salute. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball Dropper drops another hot banger. Just in case I forgot, tell a friend to tell a friend. Might not be for you, but it might be for them. That's going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.